Welcome back, listeners. Welcome to episode 2. We are still reading from the book Tribe of Mentors. I'm very excited about this episode. This person is a total mastermind, and I just know that reading from this chapter is going to be somebody's light bulb. So I'm so excited about that. When you hear who it is, you'll understand why. But before we dive into that, I just want to say that it is fall and the leaves are shedding. The trees are shedding the leaves. And what that signifies is it is arc season. This is alchemy season. This is if you want to reinvent yourself, now is the time to shed those leaves. Shed the old beliefs, the anxieties, the fears, the self-doubt, and build a foundation. Put together your goals and your pillars now because it's Q4, which means you have the remainder of 2024 to close out this year by preparing yourself to reinvent yourself in 2025 starting January 1st. So you have the opportunity right now to go, okay, I'm going to sit down and make my list. What are all the goals I want to meet next year? And what do I need to do now over the next couple of months to not overwhelm yourself, to create a solid foundation to launch those goals in 2025. Be like the trees. Shed out, again, the anxieties, the fears, anything that's holding you back. And with that is going to come people, because I want us all to remember to cheer for those others in our life or that we see that are doing something like hitting a goal or trying something new or trying to improve themselves. We should be each other's cheerleaders. And while you're changing your lifestyle and while you're trying to improve yourself, you're going to lose people along the way. You're a tree. You're going to shed those leaves because what is not for you will find its way somewhere else where it belongs when you start down the pathway that you were always meant to follow, which is being the best version of yourself. So if you have people in your life that as you're hitting your successes and you're hitting your goals and you're making your dreams come true, if they don't support you, I strongly encourage you to look closer at those relationships. And then if you see other people making new goals and just trying to improve their lives, let's support them and be their cheerleaders too. Right? Because if we're not, then what are we? Is it jealousy? Is it insecurity? Is it just a reflection of our own anxieties and fears and self-doubts about ourselves? Root cause analysis, right? Because if something triggers us about other people, that's our own reflection. That's all it is. So if we're bothered by others' successes, that's just an underlying flag for you to look into, Why would that bother you? Is it because you don't feel like you've hit your goals? Well, why haven't you hit your goals? Are you not having the time management skills that you should be having to reach those goals? Is it more than just time management, right? Are we not prioritizing ourselves and our goals and our ambitions? Do we have too much on our plate right now that's taking away the opportunities for us to have goals, to have hobbies, to have activities that brings us joy and peace and happiness, right? All right, I took some time. Again, like I said last week, just give me like a couple seconds, but really 33 minutes. That seems like the perfect number. Give me 33 minutes of your time. Maybe I'll change your life. Maybe you'll change your life because I'm just reading to you. Again, I hope the light bulb goes off for somebody. So, Maurice Ashley, and if you want to learn more, it's mauriceashley.com. Maurice Ashley is the first African-American international Grand Master in the annuals of the game of chess. And he has translated his love to others as a 3-time national championship coach, 2-time author, ESPN commentator, iPhone app designer, puzzle inventor, and motivational speaker. When you meet someone and they're like, oh, this guy's the jack of all trades. This dude is a mastermind because he is a jack of all trades. I love this for him. Again, cheerlead for other people's success. How amazing. What a brilliant mind would you have to be of this caliber? Of course, I'm going to cheer that on. That's brilliant. I love it. I hope I can learn something from this person. Again, it's all about our perspective, right? We're not jealous of those who are successful. We strive to be them, so we take their advice and their coaching and their lessons. We learn from them. Okay. In recognition for his immense contribution to the game, Maurice was inducted into the U.S. Chess Hall of Fame in 2016. His book, Chess for Success, Using an Old Game to Build New Strengths in Children and Teens, shows the many benefits of chess, particularly for at-risk youth. Ooh, add this mentally to my note. I must read this book. It is calling my name. His TED Talk, Working Backwards to Solve Problems, has been viewed nearly 500,000 times. He also appeared with me in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu episode of the Tim Ferriss Experiment, joined by our mutual friend Josh Waitzkin, who's also listed in this book. Oh my gosh, I love this. See, everybody needs a tribe of mentors. We used to hear, well, I used to, but I think a lot of people did. It takes a community. It really does. And unfortunately, we've lost a lot of sense of community, but that's all it takes. That's all it takes is a tribe of people trying to just reach the same goal. And then sticking with that tribe. So find your tribe. Maybe I'm your tribe. Maybe we're a tribe. Let's be a tribe together. All right. The first question for Maurice Ashley, this brilliant mind. What is the book or books you've given most as a gift and why? Oh, I know this is going to be fruitful. Or what are 1 to 2 or 3 books that have greatly influenced your life? Quite a few books have caused fundamental shifts within my being. Oh my gosh, yes. This is it, people. This is the cusp. However, the first that still resonates to this day is called Passages by Gail Sheehy, Sheehy, for your reference. I read it as an 18-year-old, and it opened my eyes to the realization that I would be a different person at every stage of my life. Oh, see, rebirth. I'm telling you. All the way to my old age and eventual death. It led me to realize that I should try to live my life backwards. Ooh, like Benjamin Button. Starting with the wisdom of the elderly and applying it to the energy of the youth. This is brilliant. I love the way his mind works. I've not always been able to do it, but it has helped me immensely with keeping perspective on things that matter and things that don't. All right. I would also add Sugar Blues by William Dufty to the list, as it made me radically change my diet for the better. Ooh, yeah, I actually, before I continue reading, almost 2 years ago, I pretty well completely took sugar out of my diet. Very rarely will I have anything sugary, and usually it's like a Java Bean Monster is my weakness, like once or twice a week. But my brain capacity and function, I cannot explain the improvement I have had taking sugar completely out of my diet. But on top of that, even if you wanted a supplement for sugar, monk fruit sweetener. Order it online. You will thank me later. I promise you. Diet is everything. And we'll talk about this probably in more episodes, but if you want to really very quickly, here's a little cheat code. If you want to radically improve your brain function in, like, let's say a couple weeks or a month, go on a water-only diet and plant-based just for that time period, just a short time period. It is amazing the differences in the way of brain function and the way your thought process works after you stop poisoning your body, essentially. Okay. Mastery by George Leonard. Ooh, that's another one I want to read now. Detailed the challenges that we all face on the road to expertise in any field. And the 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss is, yes, made me, it was a joke, by the way. He wrote this book, Tribe of Mentors. He makes jokes in his own book about his brilliance. And it's comical because it's so true and it's funny. It's like breaking the fourth wall. Work Week by Tim Ferriss made me ditch the average life in search of one with complete flexibility and freedom to live life on my terms. Other people would have probably taken their own names and not added it to their own book, is what I'm saying. He does himself in here, but because he got past the ego, he stopped worrying about the fears and the judgment and all that stuff, and he was totally accepting of like, yeah, I'll put my own name in my book. Just like, why did it break the internet when Taylor Swift, whether you like her or not, her, latest album, it broke the freaking, people freaked out when she broke the fourth wall and said her own name in one of her songs to make fun of her celebrity status. She just broke the ego and she was like, I don't care anymore, right? That's what this guy's saying too. It's all connected. All right. How has a failure or apparent failure, and remember, we should really always consider it apparent failure. What I noticed is every word in a book is usually typically significant. The significance of him saying apparent failure as opposed to failure, because he wants you to rewire your brain. It's an apparent failure because he wants you to stop thinking of it as a failure. It's an apparent failure until you finally grasp this thought process and put it into your everyday existence, and you forget about the word failure because nothing is a failure. It's a lesson. Rewire your brain. Think of the significance of why people say the words that they say. Again, he could have wrote this entire book and just said, how has a failure set you up for later success? He purposely put, how has a failure or apparent failure? Because the more you read the book and the more you keep changing it to apparent failure, he's teaching you to rewire your brain without you even realizing it. This is brilliant. Okay, as a competitive chess player, failure is part and parcel of growth. My most important failure came at a tournament in Bermuda. Ooh, the Bermuda Triangle is creepy. So good for him for getting in there, playing a game in a tournament, surviving, and getting out of the Bermuda Triangle. Just a funny ha-ha for you for a minute. At a tournament in Bermuda where I needed to win a crucial game in order to finally get the title of International Grand Master, the highest and most prestigious title a player can attain. I know I get off topic, but this is very important. Here's another cheat code I've learned. If you start thinking of life as a game of Sims, and you make your body, like your brain is the controller and the body just does the movements, right? And you treat your entire existence like a sim, like, okay, what do I want my sim to do today? And you take the emotions out of it, the fears, the anxiety, because nobody cares about, people dress weird, people are their truest selves in video games like Sims, right? Because it's a video game. It's fantasy. It's not real. You don't have to worry about the typical things people worry about in life. So if you look at your life every single day and you're saying, all right, what is my sim character going to do today? How's my sim character going to dress? What is it going to say? Who will it interact with? What will it accomplish today? What moves does it need to make? You can literally, it is a cheat code for leveling up to be prestige master. If you ever played Call of Duty in your life, the highest level that you can get is like the master prestige level, right? Life, treat it like a video game. What moves do I need to get my sim character to do to get to the end game, right? Did Mario just go, oh, I'm just going to roam around and figure out how I get all these stars to beat Bowser to save the princess? No. Mario, the sim, went and discovered and said, all right, what feels right? Where do I go? There's an open door. Let me go through there. Oh, there's a castle. I can walk there. Let me go there. What's significant about this? Oh my gosh. You mean that instead of just looking at this painting on the wall as just a painting, if I change my perspective and I realize you can jump through the paintings to get to the next cheat code so you can get the extra stars. Do you see where I'm going with this? It's all about perspective. I was playing Grandma's Grandmaster Michael Bezold from Germany, and in a crucial position. I had a choice between taking one of his important pieces or taking a mere pawn. It turned out that taking his pawn would have kept all of my advantages intact, while greedily taking his rook. It turned out that taking his pawn would have kept all of my advantages intact, while greedily taking his rook caused my attack to dry up in an instant. After I lost the game, Alexander Shabalov, a grandmaster who won the US title 4 times, reassuringly pointed out my mistake and then said words I will never forget. In order to become a grandmaster, you must already be one. I would have cried. I would have cried. I understood right there that I had to get back to work on perfecting myself before I could actually go about winning games. That idea has kept my eyes focused on the process over the result ever since. Listen to me right now when I say, in order to become a grandmaster, you must already be one. Light bulb. And if you took my advice and listened to Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey, I could say green light and you would totally understand it. These are the light bulbs in our life. Someone comes along and says a quote like that, and all you realize is, because what it says is, what he taught him, if you believe that you already are the Grand Master, then it is so, and you will play as such because you believe in yourself. I know your brain's exploding. Me too, me too. Again, it's all connected, guys. It's all connected. And ladies. All right. Next question. There's only 2 more. I know. We're only 18 minutes in. Crazy. This episode's going by quickly. All right. If you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say and why? Okay. I wake up each day with a firm conviction that I am nowhere near my full potential. Greatness is a verb. I have an amazing mentor, which I brought him up last podcast. He's going to be on one of these episodes very, very shortly. I've already talked to him about it. And two light bulbs for me that he gave me. One being, he said something to the effect of, it's amazing the perspective that you get when you're flying in a plane and you just look out and see that everything is actually so small. Like everything's so much bigger. Light bulb. It's true. Like when you're inside, okay, so if you are inside the city of Chicago and it seems so large, the buildings everywhere and the city's bustling and there's people everywhere and it's like as far as the eye can see. And it's like you feel like sometimes you and your situation is like the center of the universe and that it's not like a collective situation where we all have to navigate life together in peace and harmony. When you look at that, you say to yourself, holy crap, like that's the key. Because the second you get in that plane and you're up in the sky and it takes off the runway and you get to a high enough altitude and you look out that window, Chicago's so fucking small, guys. It's a blimp on the radar. Barely exists. And then when you add to it and you go, if I were the International Space Station and I had to look at Chicago from outer space, you're like, you can't even see it. And then you go, well, if I was, another planet in the solar system inside the Milky Way somewhere 7 billion trillion light years away, and I was trying to see that International Space Station, you can barely see it because it's a blimp on the radar. Everything is so much bigger than everything we have going on every single day. And it's not to say that our struggles and our pain and, those uphill battles that we have are not significant and not important and that it doesn't matter and nothing matters. What it's to say is, as long as you change your perspective and the reaction to those events are alchemizing the pain, the suffering, the hardships, the lessons learned, you're only going above. You're only going higher, right? Okay. Greatness is a verb. These words came to me one morning in a flash of awareness and insight. I have miles to go before I sleep, and so I will spend my remaining years desperately looking to improve who I am from year to year. Greatness is not a final destination, but a series of small acts done daily in order to constantly rejuvenate and refresh our skills in a daily effort to become a better version of ourselves. This was a light bulb for me after my divorce, where I had a death and rebirth again. I just asked myself every single day, am I better than I was yesterday? Because when you're in a situation where you've got everything in life feels like it's kicking you down, and you can just sit, pause, observe, and look at that moment for what it is and go, okay, this is so overwhelming, but what can I focus on today? What tiny little win can I have? Because it's all about the teeny tiny little daily wins. They don't seem like much until they add up to something so much bigger. Think about it. Nobody cares about pennies. You could have a freaking billion pennies. Nobody would care until one day, after you've thrown a penny in a jar for years and years, that jar's overflowing. And then all of a sudden you take it into the bank and you're like, hey, I can't deal with this anymore. Can you exchange this? The bank exchanged it, and holy crap, you've got $5,000. And you're like, what? Huh. Nobody cared about the pennies, right? It's the little tiny wins. So yeah, just me getting to the point every day where I said, am I better than I was yesterday? Because we beat ourselves up. We are our worst and most harshest critics. So no matter what I did, I worked out, I went to work, I was traveling, I was building a freaking empire, and yet I couldn't even see it in front of my eyes because I was focused on the negative and I was focused on the things that I wasn't doing. So what did I do? I switched my brain and I said, I'm going to focus on just the daily little tiny wins. Did I get up today? Did I do 5 minutes of a workout? Did I go on one walk? Did I read 4 chapters of a book? What did I do that is a win? Because everything that eventually gets you to where you're supposed to be are those little tiny things you do every single day. It's the daily habits. It's the daily habits. The problem with it, the frustrating part about it, we as humans, as society, have been groomed to believe that instant gratification is the key to everything. But why do we look at, here's a good one. If I were to interview someone, if I had 2 identical twins sitting in front of me, mentally identical, physically identical, except one very clearly was not taking care of their body, and one who was in prime physical shape. Now, I never did this in HR. Don't worry, don't come at me. I wouldn't discriminate against anybody. But if I were king for a day, that's the theory here. And both of those 2 people were sitting in front of me. Again, one very clearly, consistently dedicated time out of their busy lives to take care of themselves. I would hire the physical one, the one who had a better physical appearance than the other one. Again, king for a day. I wouldn't actually do this in real life. Why? Because here's what that tells you. One walks into a room and people know that they took years and dedicated and put themselves through the ringer to not even get results for potentially years. Giant muscle builders, it takes years of consistency, dedication, hard work, perseverance. It is so unbelievably hard, and you have to be so structured with so many boundaries, because it's not just about going to the gym and weightlifting. You have to track your macros. You have to be so consistently dedicated to everything you put inside your body, including what you hear, what you see, it is so much more than just going and walking on a treadmill and lifting a weight. So yeah, it shows me that you are beating the average people in society who are like, well, that's fine. I'm cool living this way. I'm cool because I want instant gratification. I'm not willing to put myself through the hardship of waiting for the results, of putting in the work, because that's what it is. They're showing you that they can keep putting in the work without even seeing the results because of the dream ahead. The dream is they know what they're going to look like in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? Because they've got that goal in their head. They know they've got the vision and they're going after it. And guess what? They're going to get there. But the other guy, where's he going? Right? You got to have goals. You got to have the daily wins. You got to push yourself further every single day. Are you better than you were yesterday? All right, last question. Again, I can go off on tangents, but it's valuable. That's why we do this in this way. This is, if you work for a company, oh, my past companies are going to eat me alive for this if they listen to it. If you work for a company that believes that training and development is through a computer with a video, and that's the only method that they will use, leave that company. Videos, podcasts, stuff like that. Very effective. They're very effective resources. But you must put the personal message into the training to get that light bulb to click. But it also has to be casual and natural. It can't be scripted. People need to understand people's life experiences in a natural setting where it's the most pure and honest. Because in a world full of too much fake crap, we need some real. How do I really get real results? I don't want the fake crap that you tell me is going to, bring me $1 million in a month. It's not true. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. Every masterpiece, every symphony, every Van Gogh freaking painting, every Amazon, everything amazing took a little bit of time. But all someone had was a vision and the drive, the dedication, the perseverance, and the consistency to keep that vision alive. That's it. All right, now the last question. In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life? I recently took a self-help course called Landmark, and I learned more than anything to strive to be completely open and transparent in my relationships. Dead ass people. Again, I will cuss occasionally in this podcast. Take me for me. Take me for me. All right. This has led to fewer but higher quality relationships over time, and it has freed me from worrying as much about what other people think. Now, one of the most important buzzwords in my vocabulary is authenticity. That is my measuring stick for whether I am saying a load of crap or I am speaking the truths that resonate from my soul. Bravo. I hope that's someone's light bulb out there. Gosh, that's brilliant. Okay. Let me just say, transparency is key from a business perspective, even a life. This is every perspective, okay? Again, they all tie together, but from a business perspective. And it'll be funny when one of my mentors comes on the show because they can talk significantly about this. We've both watched this played out. A lot of people in organizations watch this play out on a daily basis, and it's very sad when leaders and organizations believe that to give a pill to the workforce that they have to swallow, that the only way to do that is to manipulate the verbiage and the communication that they give out so it's not true transparency, always backfires. The truth doesn't. In the short term it might, in the long run it doesn't. I watched a company one time, I won't say when it was, because through my LinkedIn you'll be able to tell which company it was. And I don't want to call them out because there are several mentors from that organization that I would love to have on the show, and I don't want to burn that bridge. But I worked for a company that during a very critical time in the world, we're talking high up, like somewhere very high up in the organization made the determination, damn, I can't tell the story without explaining the situation, which would say where I worked. We'll skip past that. What I'm trying to tell you is if you are not transparent and honest, you absolutely hold no integrity with those around you, those in the workforce, anywhere. Integrity is the only way a leader will have someone consistently follow them and not leave. If you do not have integrity, if you lack integrity, the moment your followers, your subordinates, your friends, your partners, your lovers, whoever, the moment they realize that authenticity, that integrity is gone, they lose trust, they lose respect, they will no longer follow you, right? So if you could do one thing to improve your life, speak the word of truth, no matter what, because nobody ever actually likes to hear the truth. Because you have to be a very strong individual to hear the true truth. Because the truth hurts because it brings out the things that we're most scared of. Our fears, our anxieties, our deepest, darkest secrets, all that stuff. It's all tied together. If you are not able to hold your word, your integrity, your communication, if you're not able to hold it the way you should, right? You should be a light in the dark for your subordinates, for your team, even if you're not a manager or someone that is overseeing somebody else. Are you leading your home? Are you the leader in your home? Do you have a kid? Do you have a dog? Do you have a pet? Are you their leader, right? Do they take their guidance and maybe even resources from you to survive or to grow or to learn? We've got to start thinking about how we communicate with them. And are we living in that purpose every day? Are we living in that truth every day? Because the truth will grow you and it will grow those around you. Because the truth is a mirror. The mirror reflects our biggest insecurities. So when we get that criticism, that's why it's so important to be so cautious with how you communicate criticism and or feedback to people, including those that you love in your personal life, but definitely in an organization. Because it's very hard for people to absorb the truth when you're transparent with them. But if you can do it compassionately, professionally, and not just in the working environment, if you can do it compassionately and speak from a place of love and compassion and truth, you are more likely to impact that person in a positive way than a negative way. And they're more likely to take your advice and take your feedback because you're speaking your truth, but you're doing it from a respectful place of compassion, and they trust and respect you because they know you're speaking truth. You will literally change that person's life, because as long as they just take it and roll with it, they can completely alchemize and change the entire person that they were. You could be the light bulb for someone. One thing that you say could be the light bulb for someone. So definitely, if you're a leader in an organization, in your home, in your church, in your friendships, in your, maybe you're a part of a sport, maybe it's your team. You hold the torch, potentially, and you could be the key to someone else's pathway being one of abundance and knowledge and happiness. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's so true. We have such significantly large impacts on people's lives everywhere we go. So, like with toxic leaders, the impact that they have for the rest of the existence of the people that they oversaw, and especially if they're really, really, really toxic, it's life-changing. But it's also on the positive end. It is life-changing when you see, think of mentors, when they see that their mentee listened to their guidance and frickin' shot for the stars and just was the biggest ever success, in their own way, or maybe in society's way. Do you know what that feels like on the inside? But you could know that because again, if you speak from a place of transparency, of compassion, of just being, human and having human emotions and understanding that like sometimes we just sandwich the truth, right? We tell them completely, but we say, "Hey, you are such an amazing person. Did I ever mention that you are so good at A, B, C, and D? But while we're talking about it, I noticed some things that might help you improve. I don't know if I'm not an expert. I know you're the expert, but I just noticed a couple of these things and I thought I'd point it out. Because, like, if it were me, I would want to know that verse, hey, your performance came back and you can't use a computer. So you might want to work on that. Well, pardon the fuck out of me is what I would have said. Again, we cuss occasionally because let me rephrase. I could have probably thought of a better example in that exact moment, but maybe they could have said, "Hey, I noticed you've been struggling a little bit with the computer, and I wanted to help support you because I know some of these computers out here are just awful. I myself, I've deleted some things out of a spreadsheet by accident. I know they're frolicky, and we all dog on the IT department around here. There's probably something not updated. Is there anything I can help you with? Maybe like." I just shout out, but yeah, I'm here if you need me, or like anything I can do at all. Maybe then they say, well, actually, I really appreciate you asking. And I'm kind of embarrassed about it, but I'm not very good at using computers. And actually, like, yeah, I was trying to understand how to use Excel, and what ended up happening is I deleted an entire tab out of there, but I didn't know, and I was really ashamed and I was really embarrassed because how do you explain to someone in 2024 that, you don't really know how to use a computer? So, yeah, do you think that you could maybe provide me some self-help or like some courses, or like maybe you could just show me like how to do a couple basic things in Excel? That's the difference. The reaction you get versus being compassionate and talking versus just taking a jab, right? What's your intention behind it? Is your intention to make them more successful and help them? Or is your intention just to point something out so that they're aware of it? Are you wanting them to be supported so you can be their cheerleader? Or are you wanting to just hurt their feelings because they annoy you that they can't use the computer and it's like, God, get a grip, figure it out? What's your intention? What kind of leader are you? In your home, at work, wherever. Things to think about. So there is a podcast. I'm so sorry, you guys. It's not a podcast. It is a book. We will read this eventually, but I'm if you are just itching, to like read something in the meantime, Beneath the Surface by Michael Phelps. I got to see him speak in, I think it was Las Vegas, at a conference, and that's where I bought this book. He is such an inspiration. I did not realize the mental battles that Michael Phelps had gone through. And a light bulb, like I'm sure him saying this was a light bulb for a lot of Olympic athletes. But I did not realize, and it makes perfect sense. Like basically he said like that suicidal ideation. Geez, I cannot talk today. Suicidal thoughts, and just severe depression and stuff like that had hit him significantly, like to the point where he wanted to take his own life. And that, through speaking about this, he realized a lot of Olympic athletes had this. And you're like, why? Oh my gosh, they got gold medals. I mean, like everybody loves this guy, blah, blah, blah. And he said, when you get to the top and you've reached all the goals, and you've gone as far as you can, it's almost like nothing else matters. It's like, well, where do I go from here? I've reached the top. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, like it's all about perspective. Like we think of them as, we idolize them and we're like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Like that, oh, but we don't think about the flip side of that coin, which is, my God, I couldn't imagine. Yeah, if you hit every dream you've ever had in your entire life and you reached the top and you got a billion gold medals and you were just the best, the MVP, the OG, the guy, like Patrick Mahomes one day will be, which NFL stars also have struggled with this, like previous Hall of Famers. struggling because you feel like, oh my God, I've reached the top. What do I what do I do from here? You set a new goal. You find a new hobby, find new things to love. Just because in life we set our pathway and we mold ourselves into something that we think we're going to be, right? I was in HR for 10 years. Before that, did I ever think I would be in HR? No. No, I didn't. Then I built a career about it. And now look at me. I'm like a self-help guru that reads books to people. You can reinvent yourself at any time. And if you're like, oh, well, I went to school to be a neurosurgeon, and that was like 12 years and $500,000. But something tells me I need to go travel in Europe and backpack through the mountains and find myself. Do it. Who cares what you already spent the past doing? Who cares? Maybe it's time. Maybe that's your light bulb. Maybe your heart, brain, mind, body, spirit is all telling you, hey, it's time to do something different. That's not the right path anymore. We're different. Because there is a different version of you every single day for your entire existence. You can recreate yourself every single morning that you wake up. You can be a different person. You just have to remember it's in your head, right? You control your brain. Your brain does not control you. Words of the wise. Just kidding. Again, this is why we love books. Okay, I will see you on the next episode where we will unveil another exciting mentor and their advice. All right, bye.